My wife left calmly like ordering wine, and I turned her casual betrayal into a surgical divorce coup. Frozen funds title transferred. I walked free. She said it like she was ordering another glass of wine. Calm, detached, rehearsed. No anger, no hesitation. Just those two words wrapped in venom. Pleasure plants. Like she was informing me she'd be doing yoga. I didn't speak right away. What was there to say? The jazz behind us turned from warm ambience to mockery. The saxophone solo sounded like it was laughing at me. April didn't even blink. Just took a final sip of her wine, Schiava, the one I'd hunted down because she mentioned it once 3 years ago, then slid her chair back like she couldn't stand another second in my presence. Her napkin, stained with lipstick, stayed on the table. Her perfume, something floral and sharp, hung in the air longer than she did. "Try to stop me and I'll call the cops," she said. Cold, low, like I was already guilty of something. And then she walked, like a scene change. She didn't even look back. Just that rhythmic click of heels disappearing into the elevator. Her hips had more animation in them than her voice did all evening. I watched her go, and I mean really watched. Her phone was already out. She was texting someone. 10 seconds later, a man at the bar stood up. Slim, mid-30s, navy blazer over a too-tight shirt, smug little half-smile like he thought no one noticed. He dropped a folded bill on the counter and followed her into the elevator like a dog hearing a can opener. I was still holding my spoon, half a creme brulee trembling on it. The torching was perfect. Caramelized crust, creamy inside. I'd planned every detail, even told the waiter it was our anniversary, hoping for a candle or a sparkler. Instead, I got a woman who looked through me all night like I was a dull painting in a dentist's office. You ever realize in real time that something is already over? Not dramatic, not violent, just over. I placed the spoon down gently, reached across the table and folded her napkin, slid it into my jacket pocket. She'd written something on it. Probably didn't even realize. 23 years. Enough. Like it was a note to herself. Or maybe a sick little flourish. I tucked it away. Not because I was sentimental, because I knew it would matter. When I stood up, the waiter looked at me with this awful mix of pity and confusion. I paid in cash, tipped big, then walked out into the night like a man stepping into a different life. No shouting, no begging, no confrontation, just silence. But in that silence I was already building something. Something careful, something cold. And she had no idea what was coming. I sat there alone with the check beside me and her perfume still clawing at the back of my throat. The waiter didn't ask if everything was all right. His eyes had already answered the question for him. He saw it. Everyone saw it. The way she walked out, the way the other man followed. No one said a word, but the silence had weight. It pressed down like a humid night. I didn't move right away. Just watched the reflection of the city lights dance on the wine glass she hadn't finished. Her lipstick smeared the rim. Plum red, too young for her age, but bold enough for the game she was playing. I took another bite of the creme brulee. Slowly, deliberately. The kind of quiet defiance that doesn't make headlines but carves deep. My hand drifted to the napkin she left behind, still folded beside her knife, a little triangle of fabric stained with her war paint. I picked it up, mostly without thinking, but something about the way it sat, stiff, used, too neat, made me pause. I unfolded it carefully. 3 words. 23 years. Enough. It wasn't meant for me. She hadn't looked at me once while writing it. Probably scribbled it mid-scroll, mid-laugh, while texting that glorified cocktail napkin in the blazer. But it said everything. I ran my thumb across the letters like I was checking if they were dry. They were. Set. Done. I folded it again, this time into a perfect square, slid it into my inside jacket pocket like a contract I never signed but still had to honor. That napkin was no longer a napkin. It was proof of intent, of arrogance, of premeditated betrayal. When I stood, the jazz had moved into something moody, melancholy piano over brushed drums, fitting. I left the waiter $100 and a nod. He nodded back, slow, like maybe he understood more than I gave him credit for. I walked down the stairs instead of taking the elevator. Needed the time, needed the gravity. On the street, the city pulsed like nothing had happened. Just another man in a blazer waiting for a cab. Just another woman checking her phone in the backseat of a rideshare. But something had happened. And the most dangerous thing in the world is a man who doesn't scream when betrayed. A man who doesn't chase. A man who finishes dessert and takes the napkin. I didn't go home like a man returning to a house. I went home like a surgeon entering the OR. Cold hands, steady breath, methodical. The house was quiet. No dog, no kids, just me. The grandfather clock ticking like it was keeping time for something other than minutes. I poured a drink, not to forget but to remember everything with clarity. A single cube of ice cracked inside the glass like a trigger snapping into place. Then I sat down at my desk, woke up my laptop, and opened a folder I never thought I'd need, Contingency April. It had been there for 6 years, hidden behind a financial forecasting subdirectory I labeled 2021 taxes. She never once asked about it. Inside were subfolders named by date. Some of them went back far enough to have our old address listed. Chat transcripts first, not messages she sent me. Those had stopped having any life to them around the time my hair started going gray. No, these were pulled from synced backups, something I set up back when I upgraded her phone and she didn't even bother to log out of the shared cloud folder. Most of them were garden variety filth, emojis, inside jokes, nicknames I'd never heard her say out loud. My golden hour, my hot lawyer wife. Marriott Monday. That last one popped up a lot. Then location logs. She thought she was clever, turning off location sharing. She didn't know about the little backup app I'd installed 2 years ago when I was fixing her Bluetooth issue. Every time she connected to Wi-Fi, it pinged me quietly, like a whisper in a library. I didn't check it often, just enough. Her phone had connected to Fairfield Guest 27 times across different hotel chains. 3 were in the same 5-mile radius. 2 were during weekends I was out of town at my niece's science fairs. Then came the photos, not mine. A friend I knew from college, Ben, became a PI after he burned out at the DA's office. He owed me a favor. I cashed it in. I'd given him her license plate and a vague schedule. What he delivered was thorough. April in sunglasses. April in her work suit, not going to work. April laughing, head tilted back in that fake flirt way she used to do with me back when we were still real. And then the audio. God. I hit play and watched her face on the screen, frozen in a still frame, while her voice filled the room. He's old, harmless, has no clue. It's kind of cute. You'd love our house. He still pays the cleaning lady in checks. They laughed. Some man off camera, probably Marriott Monday. I didn't pause, didn't rewind, didn't cry. I exported everything. USB stick, encrypted cloud storage, separate from my usual login. Private share with my lawyer, time-stamped, organized, labeled by category. April had lived her second life in the shadows. I brought floodlights. At 3:12 a.m., I closed the lid of my laptop. Not because I was tired, God no, because the next part of the plan didn't live on hard drives. It lived in signatures, in quiet legal arrangements, in the conversations I'd had months ago that she never noticed, because she was too busy chasing dopamine in hotel bars. You see, this didn't start tonight. She pulled the trigger. But I built the gun. At exactly 3:15 a.m., my phone vibrated once. No ringtone, no alert, just a silent notification from the security system I'd upgraded under the pretense of being paranoid about porch pirates. Live feed, driveway cam. It wasn't April. It was him. He looked smaller in infrared. Slim frame wrapped in designer insecurity. Same blazer from earlier, only now it looked wrinkled. His hair was flattened in the back like someone had been gripping it too tight for too long. He approached the gate like he belonged there. Confident. Lazy. A little drunk. The kind of man who'd grown used to stepping into other people's lives and assuming no one would shut the door. He tapped the keypad. Waited. Nothing. Tried again. Denied. He leaned in, squinted at the tiny red screen like it had made a mistake. Then he stared right into the security cam, tilted his head, confused. That confusion turned into annoyance. He pulled out his phone, probably to text April, no doubt assuming she'd swoop in and solve it like she was his personal assistant. He didn't know she was still tangled in sheets somewhere else, or that her phone was off, battery dead, or maybe just drowned in cheap champagne. He tried the gate again, this time harder. Nothing. The look on his face. Beautiful. That perfect cocktail of entitlement and panic when a man realizes maybe, just maybe, he's not the main character in this particular scene. And me? I wasn't home. I was stretched out on a leather armchair in a hotel suite 10 miles away. Scotch in one hand, remote in the other, watching the whole thing unfold like a live documentary titled, Morons Who Think They're Invincible. The camera angle was flawless. Floodlight gave him raccoon eyes, made him squint, made him look weak. He didn't knock. Didn't call. Just stood there for another 30 seconds, shifting from foot to foot like the ground had betrayed him too. Then he left. Didn't run. But his walk had lost all rhythm, like a kid caught shoplifting. I didn't smile. Didn't toast. I just logged the footage. Clipped it. Labeled it, attempted entry, 3:15 a.m. saved, backed up, archived. He came to take what wasn't his. He left with less than nothing. And April, she wouldn't come home for hours. But when she did, she'd find someone else had beaten her to the door and walked away with the ghost of her future. By the time April came stumbling back up the driveway, the morning sun was already doing its merciless thing, highlighting everything you'd rather keep in shadow. Her makeup was smudged, hair matted in that very specific way no business dinner could explain, heels in one hand, phone in the other. She looked like a memory someone was trying to forget. The motion sensor on the front porch kicked on before she reached the steps. Bright light. High definition. Full humiliation. She didn't see the little red dot on the camera lens. But I saw her, clear as day. She reached into her purse, pulled out her key, still painted with that same glittery pink polish from our spa day anniversary 2 years ago. She jammed it into the lock like she could force the past back into place. Click. Nothing. She tried again. Nothing. Her jaw tightened. Her knuckles whitened. Then she slammed the key, like it was my fault the world was suddenly unfamiliar. Still nothing. That's when the intercom buzzed. The one she always said was too old school and creepy. It crackled for a beat. Then a voice. Not mine. Smooth, neutral, professional. This property is no longer accessible to you. Please check your email for details. Silence. She blinked. Took a half step back, as if she'd just been told she didn't exist. Then came the phone. Her fingers shook slightly. She opened her inbox. One new message. Legal notice. Effective immediately. She tapped it. And there it was. Everything. Emergency divorce filing. Filed at 6:03 a.m. sharp. Temporary injunction. Court stamped. Signed by a judge who didn't even need a hearing after seeing the footage. Freeze on all joint assets, bank accounts, investment accounts, even the rainy day stash she thought I didn't know about in a credit union 3 counties over. Video footage attachments, him at the gate. Her laughter on audio, time-stamped, verified. All delivered with surgical precision by my attorney, who'd had everything prepped for months. He was waiting, literally in the courthouse parking lot with coffee, watching the sun rise like it was just another Tuesday. April stood on the porch like a glitch in the system. Then she started knocking, not politely, not apologetically, like a creditor trying to collect on a debt I never owed. She knocked, then pounded, then screamed my name. I didn't answer. I wasn't home. And even if I was, that door was never opening again. When the porch didn't open and her inbox burned with silence, she did the only thing left in her playbook. She went to work. April had always walked into that firm like she owned oxygen. Senior partner at Mullally, Finch & Wynn. Office with a skyline view, espresso machine in her corner. Everyone called her April, but no one used her name casually. You didn't speak to her unless she summoned you. She liked it that way. But that morning, when she stepped into the marble lobby in yesterday's clothes and swollen eyeliner, people noticed. Not the usual wow, boss is tired kind of notice. No, this was different. The receptionist's eyes lingered. 2 paralegals exchanged a glance that said more than any legal memo. She marched toward the elevators like nothing was wrong. But wrong had arrived before her. At 8:10 a.m., a courier had delivered a plain sealed envelope to HR. It wasn't bulky. It wasn't labeled urgent. It didn't need to be. The content did all the shouting. Inside, an anonymous tip detailing an ongoing sexual relationship between April Monroe and a key client of the firm. Chat logs extracted from personal and business devices, timestamps aligned with court hearing prep times, hotel invoices billed to the firm's expense account, categorized under client development and off-site mediation. Oh, and a printed quote, bold highlighted, stamped with the date. He's old, harmless, has no clue, it's kind of cute. HR sat on it for about an hour. Then they sent the envelope up the chain. Legal counsel reviewed it. The managing partner read it twice. By 11:47 a.m., April's access badge was flagged. By 11:58 a.m., her name disappeared from the internal contact board. By 12:04 p.m., she was summoned to Conference Room B, where 2 partners and an HR rep were waiting. Notepad in hand, eyes cold, mouths in thin professional lines. They used language like disturbing allegations and ethical implications. But the message was simple. You're done. They didn't fire her. Not yet. That would require a full investigation, due process. But they placed her on administrative leave pending review. They asked her to leave her laptop, her phone, her access badge. She asked who sent the envelope. They didn't answer. She stormed out, shoulders stiff, jaw locked, but every footstep echoed louder than it should have. Because for the first time in that firm, she wasn't walking above anyone. She was walking away from everything. And the best part? That envelope was hand-delivered by a courier wearing a navy blue blazer. My blazer. Custom tailored for just this occasion. I waited exactly 24 hours and 3 minutes. That wasn't a coincidence. It was a mirror. A petty nod to our 24 years together, and the 3 months I'd known beyond doubt she was sleeping with someone who called himself Mitch the Closer. I powered the phone back on like I was opening a vault. Buzz. Then silence. Then 156 missed calls. I didn't even blink, just watched the numbers roll in. April, 67 times. Her sister, 23. My brother, who always thought she was too sharp for me, 11. Unknown numbers, 8. And one labeled Mitch. Just once. Bless him. The voicemail icon flashed like a pulse. I tapped in. Message 1, Raymond. What the are you doing? You can't just... Message 4, sobbing, muffled. Then, I made a mistake, okay? A bad one. Message 9, her sister. You're being cruel. She's not perfect, but no one is. You're acting unstable. Message 17, April again. Voice icy this time. You don't want to do this. You want to talk to me before you do anything else. Message 22, my brother. Look, man, this is getting out of hand. Call me back. Message 33, unrecognizable male voice. Don't know what your deal is, man. But April doesn't deserve this click. And on it went. Begging, bargaining, blame. Every emotional chess piece laid out in voicemail form. I didn't listen to all of them. Hell, I didn't listen to most. But I saved every single one. Exported. Time-stamped. Filed under voicemail evidence, Volume 1. Her voice cracked in places I'd never heard before. She screamed my name, like it had suddenly gained value. But I'd already deleted the contact. Her name was gone. Just a number now. It rang twice while I was sitting there. I let it. Watched the screen light up calling April. Then stop. Then ring again and again, as if repetition could fix what she broke. I didn't answer. Not because I was angry. Not because I was hurt. Because I wanted her to feel that silence. The same silence she gave me every time she looked through me. Every time she came home late and said, "You're overthinking it," and turned her back to me in bed. Every time she made me feel like a placeholder in my own life. Now the silence was hers. And 56 calls deep, she was finally starting to hear it. I wasn't interested in shouting matches, therapy sessions, or we need to talk coffee dates. I wanted paperwork, silence, and irreversible logistics. So while she was leaving voicemails that pinged my inbox like Morse code from a sinking ship, I made exactly one call. To the bank. "Good morning, Mr. Halpern." "Marcus," the manager answered. Polite, efficient, discreet. He didn't ask why I was calling, he already knew. "I assume we're green-lit on all fronts?" I asked, sipping black coffee like it was victory in a mug. "Yes, sir." As instructed. Joint checking and savings frozen as of 7 a.m. "Your personal accounts have been restructured under the living trust. Our name's no longer attached. Confirmation emails sent and archived." I didn't even crack a smile. "Not yet. What about the house?" "Title transfer is in final processing. As of this morning, county records show you as sole owner. Her name was removed via lien reassignment, just like you planned." She had signed the transfer herself 2 years ago when I refinanced to consolidate our debt. Funny thing, people sign a lot of things when you drop legalese and throw in a spa weekend. "Family trust?" I asked. He paused. "Respectful. Updated as of last Thursday. Her name is no longer listed as successor trustee or beneficiary. That trust had been meant for both of us. Retirement, our niece's college, a cabin in the woods we never visited. Now, still for retirement, still for college, still for peace. Just without her." "What about the car?" I asked. "Her vehicle was leased under your S-Corp. Since she's no longer employed by the company, we've revoked access per your bylaws. She'll get a repo notice by the end of the week, and the insurance was canceled this morning. automatically flagged after the employment change. A $92,000 luxury hybrid she bragged about to her friends like it was a reward for her hard work. Gone. All of it. Legal, final, clean. No fireworks, no screaming. Just a scalpel instead of a hammer. I hung up with Marcus, sat back, looked around my hotel suite like it was the cockpit of a plane I just learned to fly. Every safeguard, every contingency, every exit route, already mapped. Because while she was busy preparing for pleasure, I was preparing for war. She thought she could lawyer her way back into my life, into the house, into my silence. By 9 a.m. the next day, her attorney, some overconfident suburban specialist with an $800 haircut and a 5-ring binder full of nothing, filed a motion requesting temporary reinstatement of property access. Claimed she'd been unlawfully displaced, that her primary residence had been unfairly locked, that her husband had acted out of disproportionate emotional distress. Cute. By 10:15 we were already seated in front of a judge. Zoom courtroom, neutral tones, no sympathy. My lawyer, Stephen Clark, ex-military, hates adjectives, speaks like a rifle. Uploaded our files into the docket like surgical strikes. Exhibit A, screenshots, hotel check-ins, same locations, same days, different men. Oh, and that one incident where she used our joint account to pay for a conference suite during what was supposed to be a solo women's leadership retreat. Exhibit B, an affidavit from our niece's therapist. She's 17. Lives with us. Well, me now. April's behavior, dismissive, absent, hot and cold. In her words, I stopped talking around Aunt April. She only noticed me when I interrupted her phone calls. Exhibit C, video footage from the security cam. Her lover at the gate. 3:15 a.m., fumbling with the keypad like a teenager sneaking into prom night. Audio recording of her bragging about me being clueless. And yes, even the napkin. Blown up, projected, displayed in 4K. 23 years. Enough. You'd be surprised how cold that sounds in a courtroom. April sat in a tiny square on the judge's screen, flanked by her lawyer. Her face, a mosaic of smug panic, somewhere between this can't be happening and I'll fix it after brunch. The judge didn't ask many questions, didn't need to. After reviewing the evidence, he adjusted his glasses, cleared his throat, and said, "Request denied. This court sees no basis for temporary reinstatement of access. Ms. Monroe will remain barred from the property pending final proceedings. 90 seconds, no objections, no appeals, just a single sentence that shattered her illusion of control like safety glass in a car crash. She didn't speak, didn't even log off immediately, just stared into the camera like it owed her an explanation. And me? I didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't even sip my coffee. The war was already won. She just hadn't read the terms of surrender yet. The package wasn't wrapped in drama. No bright stickers, no threatening post-it notes, just a plain white envelope inside a sleek black folder, hand-delivered by a courier wearing mirrored sunglasses and zero facial expression. April had just come back from what was likely her 5th emergency meeting with her lawyer, where they probably spitballed new strategies that ignored the rising tide already waist-deep. She looked tired now, not the glamorous tired she used to wear like a designer coat. Real tired, sleepless, mascara cracking at the edges. Her designer heels now looked like the shoes of someone who'd run out of exits. The courier asked for a signature. She scribbled something barely legible and ripped the envelope open before the elevator door even closed. First thing to fall out, a flash drive labeled Final Draft to Monroe Dissolution. It contained everything: audio files, screenshots, voicemails, surveillance footage, even a folder titled Redacted for Court, with versions stripped of explicit details, just to show I'd already planned for decency. Then, divorce clause summary, 5 pages, highlighted in red. No alimony due to infidelity. No claim to assets due to legally reassigned ownership. No custody rights over our niece due to proven emotional neglect. And the final clause. Any attempt to breach or appeal this arrangement will trigger full public disclosure of the enclosed evidence. Then she saw it. The napkin. Perfectly flattened. Printed on thick archival paper. Her lipstick stain immortalized in high res. And beneath it, a note. Not typed, not stamped, handwritten. You left dessert too early. I stayed and got everything. Witnesses say she stood there holding it for 30 seconds, then slowly sank to the ground, folders slipping from her fingers, knees buckled, hands over her face. Not the dramatic sobs of someone who'd been caught. The slow, aching weeping of someone who just realized she'd been outplayed. HR called security. But they didn't move. They just stood a few feet away, watching, like everyone else. 10 straight minutes. No one helped. Not because they were cruel, but because every single person in that hallway now understood the same thing. This woman hadn't lost a marriage. She'd lost a war. And the only thing left to do was mourn. The house had always been her crown jewel. Not the marriage, not the career, not the niece she barely remembered to ask about. It was the house, the one with the wraparound porch, the granite counters she bragged about during dinner parties, the upstairs office she never actually worked in. She decorated it like a showroom, hosted book clubs she never finished books for, posted filtered sunrise pics like she owned time itself. What she didn't know, what she never cared enough to know, was that she hadn't owned a single tile in that house for over 6 years. It started with a defaulted personal loan. A quiet little $42,000 business venture she never wanted me to look into. Just a thing with a friend from yoga, she'd said. When it tanked, and her credit took the hit, I offered a lifeline. I covered it. Drafted a reassignment agreement that tied the repayment not to cash, but to equity. She signed it on our kitchen island over Pinot Noir while half watching a reality show about cheating husbands. No lawyer, no questions, not even a skim. She handed it back with a sarcastic kiss on my cheek and said, "Thanks for always saving me." You're welcome. That single signature gave me the legal basis to quietly convert her 50% ownership of the house into a frozen equity asset, contingent on full repayment within 24 months, which, of course, she never even attempted. My attorney made it all clean, silent, unassuming. The deed was updated within a year. She never got the county notifications because they were redirected to my P.O. box, the one I told her I used for junk mail. So when she stormed into her lawyer's office, swearing the house was half hers, she was fighting with air. And the cherry? I sold the house the following week. Cash buyer, private sale, no listing, no photos, no trace. To whom? A woman named Evelyn, wife of Henry Weaver, cousin of April's managing partner. They'll be hosting their summer garden party on that lawn she used to trim roses on for Instagram. I accepted their offer for $2 under asking. Not because I needed the money, because I needed the message. It's funny. The night she left, she slammed the front door like she was done with me. Turns out the house was done with her. The message came in at 2:17 a.m. No subject, no emojis, no clever quips or half-truths. Just 10 words, stripped of the arrogance that once dripped from every syllable she spoke. You were right. I lost everything for one night. Please talk to me. No follow-up. No flood of desperate pings like before. This one was different. It had finality to it. Like she finally realized I wasn't bluffing. That there was no cliffhanger waiting to save her storyline. She had bet everything on indulgence. And the house always wins. I stared at the message longer than I thought I would. Not because it moved me, but because I wanted to savor the stillness of it, to feel the exact weight of her collapse. I didn't reply with words. Instead, I opened my camera, turned slowly to the right, where a single frame sat on a floating shelf in my new apartment, overlooking the skyline she used to say smelled like power. It was the napkin. Pressed, preserved, museum glass, blackwood frame. Matte finish. Lipstick stain perfectly centered. Her handwriting still visible like a ghost that didn't know when to leave. 23 years. Enough. I took the photo, cropped it tight, no distractions, just her words, her mistake, her monument. Sent. No caption. No punctuation. No "look what you made me do." Just the truth. Framed. Then, I scrolled down. Tapped block caller. Silence. Permanent. Irrevocable. I stood by the window. City stretching out like a circuit board. My glass of wine caught the reflection of neon signs blinking below. The hum of everything moving forward without her. I raised the glass slightly, just high enough to catch the light. Not a toast. A conclusion. Then, with the quiet satisfaction of a man who didn't need applause, I whispered, "So long, April."